The element of fire is a necessary component for your evolutionary journey. It's also highly underrated and deeply misunderstood. I'm going to talk about this in depth to include masculine and feminine dynamics, as well as how to integrate this with inside of yourself to include if you are a pure-hearted human. This is very important. Make sure that you listen to the full transmission so you receive the entirety of this download. Feel free to comment and let me know how it landed. This is a part of my newsletter series. If you're not already subscribed and you're listening to this on YouTube, you can find the link below. And if you are someone who is subscribed, I'm welcoming you to this space. You have a link to the entire newsletter archive, which means that you have all of the transmissions that are a part of this newsletter, and you can move through them as though you would course content. I say that when you subscribe to my newsletter, it's very much so like being subscribed to a course for higher consciousness ongoingly. My name is Ashtyn Monea. I am a teacher, seer, and mentor for grounded mystics. I offer one-on-one work, group spaces, memberships. And if that's something that you're interested in, you can find the links in my comments below. You can also go to my website at trueselfembody.com. Okay, let's drop in. The element of fire. The element of fire is deeply connected with the masculine essence. It's attached to the sword. It's a part of the anchor. So the sword, as I refer to it as the sword of truth, is something that pierces through illusion. It is swift, it is direct, it is connected, it is present, it is penetrative. These are masculine characteristics. If you follow my work, you know that I oftentimes am speaking about what I call the epidemic of the missing masculine. This is because in a patriarchal paradigm, we're actually missing the true masculine element. We're living in an inverted reality that has taken the wounded masculine and put him on a pedestal, whereas the true masculine would be the one that is more so the seat of royalty, of truth. And this, of course, does not degrade the feminine, because the feminine in my teachings really rests at the epicenter of all of this. A man, to come into his true masculinity, it necessitates the feminine, and it necessitates the understanding of the feminine element as being the wise leader inside of his process. She should be at the epicenter. If she is not at his epicenter, then his fire also will not be aligned. It'll be misaligned. It'll be centering the wounded masculine, and therefore the fire element will be out of its divine organization. This is also why so few understand the element of fire, because where they misperceive it, they're looking at it through a lens of the wounded masculine. They're seeing destruction, domination, control, rage, and violence that is not in any way conscious. And so a lot of people fear this element within inside of themselves. This operates differently for the feminine as it does the masculine, because when we are living within a collective, it has certain ideas and narratives that it imprints onto us, being a man or a woman, in relationship to the element of fire. Like, women are not given permission to rage, but what I have found in my experience and the initiations that I facilitate in my work with women is that women deeply need to integrate the element of fire. Because if she does not, she cannot actually become the sovereign woman that she is meant to be. Because she won't have a sword. She won't be swift. She won't be direct. She won't be clear. So I work with women that are oracles. This means that you have a way of seeing and feeling and knowing, and yet not having the element of fire integrated will stop you from moving that into the world, because people will feel you seeing them. And when you speak very clearly and directly, you may be speaking clearly and directly to things like shadow material. And that is a part of your fire, to be able to, your sword, put it into a shared relational or collective communal field. So instead, what you'll do is you'll dim and you won't let yourself burn. And that will actually eat you from the inside out. It's very unhealthy. We need the element of fire, just like in the elements air, fire, earth. What am I missing? Water. It's needed. You can't just take it out. But you need to understand its higher octave, how it lives and breathes through forms of conscious embodiment, which we don't have many examples of, but I am an excellent example. So for me, I am what I consider feminine base code. I'm a deeply feminine woman. I'm the true feminine. But a lot of people will misperceive me because their understanding of the true feminine is to not have the masculine integrated, which is actually very untrue. That's an imbalance. That's fragmentation. That's not wholeness. The true feminine embodies wholeness, just like the true masculine would embody wholeness. So the true feminine is going to hold the base code of feminine, and then she's going to also be integrated. Her feminine is going to be integrated with the masculine and vice versa. The masculine, as I said earlier, cannot come into the true form of his own masculinity without the feminine. So in my process, and I'll use myself as an example because I really have walked the initiations that I speak to and through. I began as just very sensitive, hearted, sweet in ways, but I was also clear. The typical kind of path for an empath, and I'm saying this because if you're pure-hearted, you really likely need to integrate the element of fire. You understand heart, you understand love. Those things are deeply feminine. You understand sensitivity. And in some ways, your sensitivity has prevented you from leaning into your fire because you haven't yet individuated, which is also a part of masculine integration. It will provide you identity and individuation that is not enmeshed with all of your surroundings. So an empath begins like hearted and sensing and feeling and really enmeshed with a lot of its surroundings. So because you feel so deeply and you don't want to create harm, you will attract away from the element of fire. Because if you step into a room and you speak with power, swiftly, directly, and clearly, you can feel other people feeling that. And a lot of people don't like feeling fire. But fire is also connected to truth, where the heart is connected with love. And both of these are meant to move in tandem. That is true union between the masculine and the feminine. So if you are in the element, or let's say the configuration of love, the element that I'm talking about when you're empathic is water. You're feeling. It's feminine. That's all water. So you're water. And in ways you can water yourself down being in water, especially when you're enmeshed. So when you're empathic and you're hearted and you're sensitive, you're feeling into all of this environment. And people not wanting truth, which you're here to deliver, sorry to tell you, like if you are empathic and you are a seer, you're meant to deliver truth. You can see beyond the veil. You can feel into shadow material. It's not meant to just remain in the field. You're meant to alchemize it. And you can't be high alchemy without the element of fire. So what will happen is, because you are not yet individuated and therefore separate from others, is that you'll be like, no, I can't bring in fire because I will feel that person's shame. I will feel that person's sadness. I will feel that person's anger. I will feel that person's rage. And I don't want to feel that in my body. Okay. But the only way you're not actually going to feel that in your body is when you hold your sovereignty. And the only way you're going to arrive into a sovereignty is by integrating the masculine within, which includes the fire element. Do you see what I'm saying? This is very, very important. So in my journey, I started out as more of the empath that was sensitive and I didn't uphold boundaries. Boundaries are masculine. I didn't speak directly and clearly. I would apologize when other people harmed me just to keep the peace, which actually is about keeping peace, which isn't true peace, in dysfunction. It's enabling. This is different, and that's not what you're here for. I came into a natural initiation and activation as I do and always will. I have for my entire life. I'm priestess. I'm a walking activation. I'm a high caliber initiation. So these are things that are going to happen in my everyday life all of the time. This activation brought me into the element of fire. I had gone through deep, deep, deep feminine integration and initiation. And then the masculine element arrived to burn through the field the dysfunction that was within me and around me. This is a beautiful contribution and gifting from the element of fire. Like I say, I breathe purifying fire. You all feel me on my content on social media and like, oh my God, she's so direct, she's so clear, and that was so swift and just through the field. Yes, it's a very real thing. There is an actual like purifying fire that is swift with my sword that moves through the field. It's like there's no room for this dysfunction. There's no room for gaslighting. There's no room for manipulation. This is just truth, swift truth, and I hold it. I'm not wobbling. Do you hear how I said I hold it and I pointed down? That is the anchor. That is masculine. I'm not wobbling. I'm stable. This is the truth. I am held by the truth. I'm individuated. I'm not enmeshing with my environment. I'm moving out to see what is the person's experience on the other side from me speaking this thing. It's like, this is the thing. Let's be with it. This is also when you arrive into your power. You cannot embody your true power without the element of fire. Not possible. It's not possible. Not the kind of power that I'm talking about. We watch in a patriarchal matrix in an old paradigm system that's inverted, where false power, like I said, the wounded masculine, is held up on a pedestal. So a lot of people don't understand what power actually is in its true form, which is true power. And that's when I'm speaking into this room. I hope you're feeling it energetically. The more that you can receive and digest somatically, energetically, in all of the ways, the more this and these transmissions that I put out are going to provide amply. It's going to be amplified. You're going to receive a lot. I used to have the moments where fire would enter me and it turned into clarity. This is also very important about fire. When you're a mesh with your environment, it's confusing. You can't have clarity in the same way. So when you're empathic and you're a seer and you have deep knowing, when you don't have the element of fire integrated within you, it actually impacts your ability to deeply know, or you will know and you won't be able to hold it. You'll wibble wobble out of your own knowing, and you're here to hold it. So I used to have these moments where fire moved through me. And when it did, it would purify the field around me. And all of a sudden, I just had immediate clarity. And this allowed me to speak directly. And it also allowed me to write inspired, unfiltered. It wasn't me writing to calibrate for anything outside of me. I'm not writing for an audience. I'm writing unfiltered with full permission. So I would have those moments. I would go to my phone like I usually do with my content, and I would write out the post, and then it'd be like, oh no, I can't post that. Like people are going to get so upset, especially men. Men are going to get so upset that I'm pointing to their shadow and their responsibility. And there's so many layers to this. And so I wouldn't post it. I did that for years until this initiation activated in me and it demanded of me that I post those posts. And do you know how many people that I have supported, men and women, by posting those posts? A lot. Did I have to deal with the resistance energy that tried to pursue me and people who would be very deeply resistant to what I was illuminating in the collective field of shadow? Yeah. Yeah. And that also crafted my power because I can stand inside of rooms with hundreds of people and speak truth and not waver. Thank you to the element of fire. Okay, I want to bring in some relational components that will help highlight some of the masculine and feminine dynamics through a relational lens. There was something that I wrote earlier. There were two posts. I'm going to read you both because I find them to be very, very potent in their concentration. Lack of manhood, rightfully, agitates the feminine. Who wants to treat their man like a damsel? This is actually what many men are requesting when they say they want a soft woman. They want to be treated as though they are fragile, sensitive to the touch so their egos don't bruise. They want to avoid how they emasculate themselves, deflecting to not be illuminated by women who see and speak clearly and directly in a way he fails to do. He wants to be treated like a child. He can't make decisions. He feels threatened by her taking away his freedom while she calls him into responsibility. He is wobbly and confused, which creates inconsistency that doesn't embody stability for her to truly surrender and soften into. She is not safe in his presence. He moves like an adolescent wanting king treatment. He says yes when he means no, and he says no when major opportunities are available to evolve him. He creates perplexities that are unnecessary. He is a lost boy without an anchor. While there is no anchor, she is left making endless decisions on their behalf while he complains about feeling trapped. The only real trap is the one he created and then deflected onto her to remain unaccountable for his life. The invisible cage he created was an illusion to prevent him from self-leading. He's turned himself into a damsel in a tower, distressed and looking for rescue over the evolutionary journey of embodying his own manhood. This is important because part of what I'm pointing to is that when a man does not embody his masculinity, he is going to, as related to this transmission, be absent of the element of fire. Fire is direct. Fire is clarity. Fire is boundaries. How do you know your no how do you know your yes if you don't know your no? Boundaries. So when a man is not developing his element of fire through the form of truth, okay? Through a form of truth, where it's not destructive, it actually is the ash. It creates the ash by which your soul can evolve through the fertile soil. Oftentimes, he will unknowingly be leaning into damsel energy. So he's not occupying necessarily like the truth of the feminine, though he may have that within him. He will also unknowingly be occupying damsel, which is wounded feminine energy. And when a man does this, a woman has to step in to the masculine characteristics that he's not upholding. So, for example, now she's making all of the decisions because because of his directionlessness. She feels like she's dragging and pulling him because he's not embodying purpose. And those are things that a man is meant to do. So now she is holding two poles rather than one. A part of my initiations, though I'm here for full level integration, I teach union that's in truth. I teach masculine and feminine integration in truth. And though I am here to be all of that and embody all of that, there's also a deeper collective truth that is happening where women are embodying both, where men aren't embodying either. What I'm meaning by that when I say either is that men will embody this emasculating energy that is of the wounded feminine because it's in relationship to the absence of his embodied masculine. So he's missing both. And women hold the everything. The feminine essence is the origination of all life and creation. It's all memory. It has access to literally everything. So what she will do is she will embody the things that he is not, knowing in his absence what is needed. The issue is with this is that when women do that, but then they maintain relationships with men that aren't embodying either, they're enabling men to remain undeveloped. I'm saying this relationally, but these are also dynamics that you can be operating with inside of yourself. So, like, pay attention because I'm speaking it relationally now, but there's also corresponding ways in which this can show up in someone's internal experience. I work with people on their evolutionary journey, and that is always going to have this element of masculine and feminine dynamic. I can see where someone's on a spectrum. I'm like, oh, I can sense where you don't have the true masculine here, but you do have the true masculine over here. I can sense where, oh, you're operating wounded feminine over here. Okay, here's where the true feminine. I can see and sense all of that in your composition. I'm going to read you another post that is going to illuminate the ways in which women do this to an even deeper degree of holding these poles as it relates then to the element of fire. Lack of masculinity makes her fire rage. Men who embody wounded feminine energy enrage the feminine. I hope I read that correctly. Men who occupy wounded feminine energy enrage the feminine because she doesn't want to be with a woman that needs her in her masculine. She wants to be with a man that lays foundation for her to easily be in her feminine. And because he is not holding the pole of masculinity, which upholds the sword, anchor, and element of fire, she must embody what he does not ongoingly. This is where women are asking men to offer peace to them, spaces where she goes still and open with a regulated nervous system as he holds the hearth to her yin. Instead of by force and necessity holding a masculine pole she isn't meant to be responsible for. This doesn't mean each aren't meant to be integratively embodied, and energetic roles do not and cannot modulate appropriately. It's simply pointing to how the absence of the masculine impacts women, to include how this operates elementally between fire and ice. Women's rage and repulsion is an outcome of men not aligning with and embodying their roles. When men embody the true masculine, which has nothing to do with domination or control, women will naturally soften and melt. That's just how it works. So when we look at this through an arc of evolution, what ends up happening is that this gap that I talk about between the masculine and the feminine formulates in the absence of the masculine because women end up embodying both. Now, just imagine if you're a woman who embodies the true masculine within you to include the element of fire, and you meet a man who is not direct, who does not step in, who cannot protect you, who is purposeless, who is wavering about in the wind. Are you going to be attracted to him? Of course not. It makes no sense. The masculine within you will turn you on more than he will. And what will happen is that in the presence of his emasculating energy and his damsel way of being, you will feel the fire start burning within you. Even who I am, how I feel today, it was inspired by exactly that. Now, this is one way that this can arrive through the feminine in her experience with a man. Because women are taught that they need to become something for men. They need to mold around men. Like even people who offer dating coaching will tell women to do this, which is ridiculous. And so, if you have that within you, oftentimes you will find yourself potentially in a softening energy that isn't the true feminine. It's more of an enabling energy. Let's say that a woman finds herself in a relationship and she does that over and over and over again, because a man in a kind of damsel energy will basically be asking for a woman to soften in his presence. Like I said earlier, not to bruise his ego, not to bring the fire out to fiercely see him, not to bring the fire out to evolve and initiate and activate him, to keep the peace, to smile and look pretty. And so women oftentimes will find themselves kind of defaulting to that behavior because society rewards it, but evolution doesn't. So as time passes and she's occupying this kind of softening, enabling role, and all of a sudden now, like, he's not being accountable, right? He's not self-leading. He's not taking on more responsibility. Now she's taking on all of that because of his absence inside of the masculine element and roles. And she gets resentful and she's getting angry. Now, if she doesn't have the element of fire and the true masculine integrated into her, she will likely lean into a passive aggressiveness that comes through wounded feminine energy. Now we've got like matching wounded feminine energy going around, and there's no truth in the room between the true masculine and feminine that is needed in any truly healthy, conscious relational dynamic. So now her resentment turns into things that are like kind of passive aggressive side comments. If she had the fire element integrative, she would speak clearly. She would speak directly. She would have boundaries. She would leave him if he didn't step in. She would have requirements and standards. She would not allow these common dysfunctional dynamics that men present with, like deflection and projection, making something about her when it's actually about him because he doesn't want to uphold his responsibility. She'd be like, no, like, hold him in it. I'm holding you in that. This has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with you. Isn't that a very different way of relationally operating? It's far truer and it's far cleaner. Now, on the other side of this is like a man who is embodying fire and he speaks directly. Now, when we speak directly, there needs to be the integrated element of heart. You have to have the element of heart. Like, there are things like I'm saying sometimes, and I know that people could maybe look on social media when I'm extra fiery and be like, she's not the most conscious person in the world. Do you know why? Because I don't have a persona. I'm not playing spiritual for you. I'm not playing conscious for you. You can trust my embodiment. I don't need to look away. I am away. So when I say things and I say them directly or I'm pointing out something, it's not going to come through what you would imagine always being conscious language. It's just clear and it's direct. And sometimes you got to match or meet a certain kind of energy to even illuminate to ultimately collapse it. I know what I'm doing out here. So when a man is in his truth, he has his fire element engaged. There needs to be heart behind it because it's not just a ruthless kind of speaking. He needs to have reverence for the feminine element. He needs to have care intact. Otherwise, it's not the true fire. It's not the purifying fire. Because the pure part in that is the hearted. Now, let's say that he does have that and he speaks really clearly and really directly and he has boundaries, and a woman is like, like insulted by it. Like, she's like, oh my God, how dare he set a boundary that today he's going to go out with his friends when we've been hanging out for 5 weeks in a row. I just don't like that. Why didn't he invite me? This is like a part of the sovereignty piece and a meshment. That's why I'm bringing this as an example in. Or like if a man ends up speaking something very clearly because let's say that a woman has descended into her wounded feminine energy and all of a sudden she's attempting to manipulate him through his emotions, or she's trying to get him to play rescuer in a way that is inappropriate. There's codependency all of a sudden in the place and he goes, whoo, no, I'm not going to meet you there. I'm not going to do this thing that you're expecting just because you expect it. There are women that are in their wounded feminine energy that are not able to receive a man's truth. Just like there are men in their wounded energy that aren't able to receive a woman in her truth. That's far more common, just because it is, because of what we got going on collectively and societally at this time. But what I'm saying is that there needs to be a spaciousness for the clarity that moves through purifying fire, that is spoken directly, that is held in an unwavering kind of way, that is honoring actually to all of life. Again, as I was saying at the beginning, there are a lot of misperceptions about the element of fire. There are people that also especially cannot understand the higher heart integrated with fire. They'll misperceive it. They'll think you're a bitch. They'll think that you're not compassionate. And you could actually, by holding the element of fire, you're being the most caring, loving, insightful, compassionate person in the room. This is a part of why fire individuates you. Can you hold it regardless? Because it's in alignment and for no other reason. No one needs to like it. And you can also love it. I say this because it's the last thing I'm going to talk about. Fire is sexy. Fire is sexy. You bring me a man that speaks direct, and I'm like, hello, sir. And I witnessed that also with inside of myself. There was this dynamic of I sensed this man was going into like this kind of wounded feminine energy, inconsistency, not decisive, right? And in the moment, I, in a way, met him in a certain level of softness. And I woke up this morning and my fire had arrived and my clarity was here. And it said, bitch, you rise, you get bigger, you see more. And I could see so much of his shadow material. I have been writing for hours content about this. That's what purifying fire feels like. It inspires. Again, it creates a clarity and you can speak it. It's not like I can't speak it. I don't. You can speak it. It is penetrative. It moves outward into the external environment. And as that has been here with me this morning, I'm like feeling myself. Like later on, I'm going to actually be feeling on myself. I'm just letting it amass because that's enjoyable too. With that, women, you are taught not to integrate your element of fire because you'll be taken off the market in a way where men are not interested in you. Because we are taught to enable an old paradigm system that is highly destructive and dishonoring of us, that doesn't allow you to have your power truly emerge and be embodied. Literally, we are encouraged to play damsel around men so that they can feel superior as a way of attracting them in. I don't do that. For a lot of reasons, I don't do that. When a man really meets my fire, like I have these moments, and let's say that we had a conversation and I'm letting that conversation rest in my body. And let's even say the day before, similar to what I did yesterday, I went into this kind of softening. I was still clear in the ways I was clear, but let's just say that like I kind of sidestepped myself a little bit. And then my fire came up and it's like, whoo, here's the penetrative clarity of what's going on here. And I can see all the shadow dynamics to include his. And I show up and I'm like, hey, like, let's have a conversation. I have clarity now. And I start speaking very, very clearly, and my fire is in the room and it is burning up the impurities so that we can both come back into alignment. If that man runs, if that man hides, if that man thinks that's unattractive, if that man tries to shame me or he wants to control me, he wants to deflect, he wants to project, he wants to manipulate, first off, my fire won't let him. Second off, I'm repulsed now. I definitely don't want to get down on the get down with you. And thirdly, I'm probably going to go be feeling myself because I am holding more fire, more masculine essence in the room in that moment than he is. He is emasculating himself before my eyes. So, men that I'm interested in are the ones who admire my fire. They find it very sexy. And it's not in a wounded way. We have to be very clear about this, where they essentially want to be a sub and they want me to dominate them. Because again, I would not be attracted to that. There's a lot of complexities when we look at this of fire and heart, masculine, feminine, wounded and true, conscious and unconscious. A lot of people are not able to move through those layers and actually arrive at the purifying truth. And that is what I'm offering to you. If this is something that you are desiring, integrating inside of you, I highly recommend my work. I have a membership group that is called the Integrative Evolutionary. It's something that you have to apply for. There's a gatekeeping process because that community to keep it refined and right and aligned. You can also work with me one-on-one, beginning with my seer single session. And I will help you with masculine and feminine integration. I will help you with integrating the fire element. I will help you with and from the place that you are actually at. Like I fully attune to you. I have other courses and options to work with me that are available. You can go to my website again at True Self Embodied. I also have behind the scenes offerings that you'll never have access to unless you've worked with me through one of the ways that I kind of have as entry pass to the public stepping in to my spaces. So if that's of interest to you, make sure to book something with me, particularly one-on-one, and also mention your interest in what I have behind the scenes. I hope that this transmission has been supportive to you. Make sure to share, like, share, comment, send it to people that you feel it will be deeply resonant with. And as always, so much love to each and every one of you.